Alright guys, so here we are, Batman is back, and as you can see I'm really excited about this because it's such a cool game.
They say crime doesn't pay. Someone ought to check the good police commissioner's pockets, because they are lined with my money.
Now as you can see here we have a much younger, less experienced, and dare I say darker Batman.
Hey, I didn't sign up to get my ass kicked! What is that yourselves? Where did this guy come from?
Basically his approach is to hit everything and everyone till the problem solves itself.
Time to put a need help, please!
Of course later on he has to realize things don't work that way.
Master Bruce, now is not the time for doubt.
I can't do it. I can't stop them.
Basically the player can realize immediately that this is a different kind of Batman than he was in the previous games, which is real cool, because it sort of gives you a fresh start, you know, and although we now know that the Joker dies at the end of Arkham City, you still want to play this game.
You hear that? Sounds like 8 tiny reindeer!
To be honest, what I really miss from the other Arkham games is that you basically learn nothing from the past of the main characters. And here in the Origins, it serves as a prequel to the other Arkham games, though you still don't really, you know, learn how Bruce ended up being Batman, because here he's already the Dark Knight. You can sort of understand why the Joker hates him so much.
You feel that you don't even know who you are anymore. Isn't it funny how one little encounter can cleave off little pieces of your past, deform your memories and persona until you rethink your whole identity? And as you realize how foolish it all is, your laughter reverberates off the walls of your own emptiness.
Okay, I'm gonna need more specifics. How about we try some word association?
That sounds delightful.
Now the gameplay. Thankfully WB Montreal used the same kind of assets and engine as the other two Arkham games, which is a relief. Because to be honest I was really afraid they're gonna screw things up this time. But thank God they didn't. And not to mention they even improve some of the stuff that was already perfect in the other two games, which, although, you know, the whole thing feels like the other Arkham games, it still makes the whole thing sort of interesting, even for the hardcore Arkham players, which is really cool, you know, and that's a big plus for... Excuse me. You have new gadgets like the glue grenade and the shocking gloves, which surprisingly received some mixed reviews, because some people say it actually feels like cheating. I mean, using the shocking gloves, and on easy this might be true, but I bet these guys didn't even try to play on hard or normal, because especially in hard difficulty setting it actually makes the whole thing playable, because otherwise you're just gonna die, especially during boss fights. As we could see in Arkham City, especially fighting Mr. Freeze, the developers made the whole thing interesting with you have to use your brain and not just your hand kind of thing, and thankfully they kept it in Origins, because, you know, here each boss requires you to use different kind of tactics, you know, to be able to defeat them, because they are so fucking strong and much more powerful than Batman. You just can't win in an open battle, you know. even later on in the game with some of the basic enemies. Although especially earlier in the game, you can still use the counter and strike kind of thing and click your way through battles. But thankfully the developers kind of force you to use your head. One thing definitely worth mentioning is the new, improved detective mode. Now, we already met this in the prior games, but here we are actually able to recreate, the actual crimes, the actual crime scenes, and you can find new clues and make new conclusions with it. I mean, you can, if you use the detective mode, you can sort of recreate the actual crime, what happened during the actual crime, and you can forward it or revive it, it like a tape. It's fucking amazing. It actually makes Batman feel more like a real detective.
By now, Gotham PD thinks Roman Sionis is dead, the casualty of a turf war, murdered by the Penguin. But I know better. Someone spooked Sionis' girlfriend, so he sent her to his safe house, which was anything but safe. Sionis showed up later, ready for trouble, and found it. Or so it seemed. Roman's always been paranoid. That's probably why he's lasted this long. He'd sent in a decoy, giving himself the element of surprise, but it wasn't enough. There was a fight. Sionis lost. The killer didn't hesitate to shoot the decoy, but he wanted Roman alive to access the cash stored at the Gotham Merchants Bank. With Sionis under control, all that remained was to tie up loose ends.
Oh, and by the way, the Christmas Eve Gotham City looks amazing, and although they made the whole area twice as big as in Arkham City, unfortunately, it still feels claustrophobic to me.
The Joker's booked out the Royal, but why are SWAT providing security? I need to find out what's going on here. I need to find another way inside.
Now the story. As I mentioned earlier, the story takes place before the events of the other two games and gives us a much younger, less experienced Batman.
Stop, Master Bruce. Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins.
What?
You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger.
Actually, in my opinion, the story itself isn't as interesting as it was in the other games. Basically, what's happening is a villain named Black Mask sets up a $50 million bounty on Batman's head and hires a couple of assassins to kill him.
Let's see what else is on the drone's hard drive.
Each of them gets one of these envelopes. I need them delivered tonight.
They're all hired killers, the best in the business. Black Mask isn't messing around. Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, former military, subject of a failed medical experiment.
Failed, you say?
Garfield Linz, aka Firefly, burns on 90% of his body. His obsession is going to be his end.
How unlike anyone I know.
Here's a face I don't recognize. Copperhead. Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
14 escapes, huh? Well, you won't forget, not what the...
Of course, there are a couple of twists. you're gonna encounter throughout the game, which, well, they are fucking amazing, and yeah, it's cool, but they are needed, because otherwise the whole thing would be a piece of shit. But I guess the developers did it on purpose, so yeah.
Think you can just waltz under my bank, huh?
Roman, I'm here for the Joker.
The Joker? Never heard of him. How about you, dog? Know the Joker?
The who?
And you, sir? Name Joker ring a bell?
These assassins are Firefly, Shiva, Deadshot, Copperhead, Bane, and so on. Most of which are only known from the comics. And although they are less known, it still makes the whole thing interesting. And that's cool. You'll also encounter earlier in the game the Penguin. And you'll also learn how Harley, or rather Harleen, turned into Harley.
My name's Harleen. Harleen Quinzel.
What a pretty name. Do your friends call you Harley?
Oh, I don't have a lot of friends.
Well, Harley, you got one now.
You're also gonna spend some time at the Batcave in between missions, which is your HQ, of course. And you're also gonna talk with Alfred in person for the first time. Amazing, I love it. He gets much more room in the story, thankfully. There are also a lot more emotions in the game, which makes the whole thing much more movie-like and gives you a much more dramatic, as I said, movie-like experience overall.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? The teenager you drove to his first date? While you are here every night, I am out there. The only thing between the innocent and the predator. You may be! No, not may be. I am.
Now, my biggest problem is the main story is like 6 hours. 6? Though it's clear they made the whole thing much bigger than Arkham City, because I only played through the main story line. I sort of rushed it, and on the profile screen it shows it's only 20%, which kind of makes the whole thing with side missions and those wonderful DLCs makes the whole thing for about a 30 hours long experience. And I'm glad, it doesn't force you, to complete side missions, to extend gameplay, to extend the gameplay length, though you can easily bump into one another, mainly Anarchize and Enigma side missions, but it still makes the game 6 hours long. 50 euros for 6 hours. Fuck you. Wouldn't it be much better to make the main storyline twice or 3 times bigger and lower the actual game price and fill the rest with side missions and maybe DLCs? Oh, and not to mention that fucking season pass, which is another, how much was it, 20 euros something, which makes the whole game 70 euros. 70 euros for for 6 hours, you know? Are you fucking crazy? I mean, are you serious? You know, I mean, oh, and not to mention, you know, 70 euros. 70 fucking euros. I guess it's like $100 or something, 90 bucks. Something like that, you know? I mean, you know, it's, you know, for the fuck, you know, within 5 years, you know, a fucking game, even if you pre-order it, would cost like I know, $200 or something, you know? I mean, what the fuck, you know? Everyone's supposed to be a fucking millionaire or something, you know? I mean, what? You know, this is fucking crazy, man. I mean, I understand, you know, that everybody uses torrents, pirate games, but, you know, you spend $100 on a fucking game, you download it from Steam, which is basically fucking, you know, downloads for this fucking, you know, you know, fuck. Oh, and by the way, the game is full of bugs and glitches, and it's sort of unplayable on release. So actually what happens is you spend around $100 on a piece of shit, 6 hour long fucking which is full of bugs and glitches, and for some people it's totally unplayable on release. You guys don't QA test your games out there, or you know, I would, you know, the developers are fucking serious. I mean, come on, man, you know, you don't play your games, or what, you know, get, ooh, man, 50 euros for this piece of shit, you know, which doesn't work on release, you know, though some people reported terrible bugs, and yeah, I didn't encounter 90% of it, thankfully. I mean, I could play through the game without crashes and shit, though I encountered some bugs and glitches and stuff like that, but you know, am I lucky, you know? Whew. Well, let's go somewhere else. Well, you guys probably know this day the developers decided to change the voice actors to fit the storyline and setting much better. And yes, I'm talking about the Bats and Joker. And I was already a big fan of Roger Craig-Smith and Troy Baker. To be honest, you know, I was a little bit afraid of how they gonna work out, but they are, you know, they're fucking amazing. I'm not saying they are better than Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, definitely not, but they are equally amazing. I guess they found the perfect guys for the job.
Oh, that's it's so what a night!
Now for the final verdict. Well, it's a tough one. Why? Because if I look at the game as as a part of the Arkham series, or just the game itself, it's gonna be different. You know what I mean? If I just look at the main storyline or the whole 30-hour long experience, then it's gonna be different. If I look at it pre or post patch, it's gonna be fucking different. Well, but in my opinion, for me, you know, Batman Arkham Origins is the best from the Arkham series so far. And although, like I said, you know, my main problem is basically the 6-hour long storyline and the glitches, you know, that's it, which can easily be fixed with a patch. And of course the price, you know, but it's not, you know, I mean, let's just focus on the game itself, you know. And you know, basically why I'm angry is about the 6-hour long storyline is because, you know, it's so fucking amazing, you know, it's really cool, and I want to see more of it, you know, not just fucking 6 hours, you know, they could have easily made it twice as long, you know, and yeah, you know, it would have been much better, you know, to, you know, instead of just trying to satisfy myself with pointless but although somewhat interesting side missions. But anyway, if Arkham Asylum was, you know, for me it was a 7 out of 10. To be honest, you know, I wasn't blown away with, you know, because it's, you know, counter and strike, and basically a claustrophobic indoor, yeah. It is a little bit more of everything besides the storyline, the length. 6 hours, you know, fuck. The question is, should you buy it? Should you play it? Yeah, play it, definitely, absolutely. Unbelievable, you know. Buy, if you've already pre-ordered it, or if you already bought it, yeah, then play it. Absolutely amazing, you know, it's must own. It's a must play, sorry. But if you haven't bought it, I would wait a little bit till they're gonna lower the price and shit like that, you know. And yeah. Now, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. I'm a scared man.